It is super important in our world today that, since no one uses Yellow Pages anymore, that you have a way for people to find you. And so before I even talk about basics of websites, I want to make sure I highlight something that's super important for churches, and that is Google Local Business. If you are not, if you have not claimed your business on Google, you are kind of missing some opportunity. By claiming your business on Google, if you don't claim your business, your church, on Google Local, you're missing out on maps, Google Maps. You're missing out on the basics of search. Like if you do a local search, like I'm looking for a church in this particular area, you notice how when you get the results, there's a map and it's got all these locations on that map. That map is populated for businesses that have adequately and properly filled out their local business information. Okay? So if you do nothing else on the web for your church, I would make sure that you claim your business on Google Local, and that you make sure that you fill out all the information, give your times and your location and your address and your website. Hope you have one. Pictures, video, just treat that as a super important thing, because the reality is for church, the web is important. Search engine optimization is important. Being able to be found in Google is important. But what is more important for a church is hyper-local things, right? And factors that affect hyper-local search are things like Google, local, like claim your business, Yelp, city search, those things are super, super, super important on local. Bing, local. So like if you use Siri, hey, ask Siri a question. She doesn't use Google, right? She uses her own thing. And there's an Apple local, right, that feeds that information. If you're on Facebook and you do a search with Facebook, it uses Bing. So it's going to pull search data from Bing. And so you need to make sure your local business is claimed through Bing and you've populated the information. You've got to think hyper-local for a church because you're a local organization, local business. You're not, although these things that we've talked about today are sort of global, your website is kind of global. But when people are in the area and they're looking for you, they're going to do a Google search. Church is in the area near me. And if you haven't claimed your business and you haven't collected that information and populated it correctly, Google's not going to show you in those listings.
Make sure your information is correct. We had an issue where our church address was wrong, and it was not pointing to the right area, and I had to go in and do a lot of corrections to get it all fixed.
Google will try, it'll guess at what all this stuff is, until you claim it, then you can go in and change it. So make sure you do that. Claim your local business. Make sure you get a Yelp profile established, because the same factors come into play on local search. There's about 9 of these sort of local search related search engines that feed everything, and you need to make sure that you cover the bases for local, all right? So once someone searches and says, I'm looking for, and then they found you, then they're on their phone, they're going to go to your website, and the question is, do you have a website that properly displays on the phone? So when we talk about website, there's a couple things that I just want to highlight really quick. Your website is your digital presence. It is your digital address. It is the location that people are going to go to the first time they hear about you. They're going to Google you. They're going to go to your website. The first time if they do a Google search and they happen to find you, they're going to your website. If they're looking for your phone number, they're going to go to your website. If they're trying to find your address, they're going to go to your website. Your website is your digital presence. All right, and so it is super, super important that if you have a website, you control it and own it. Tell me what that just said. The second thing, we live in a mobile world. As of the last bit of data that I was looking at regarding mobile data, about 68% of all web traffic comes off of one of these. Think about that for a moment. 68% of all web traffic comes off of a smartphone. Which means your website, if your website doesn't look right on here and doesn't work on here, you're missing opportunities to connect with people and make sure they know where they're at and actually be able to build that connection. Right? Mobile, 68%. So if you aren't thinking mobile, you're thinking 2000 instead of 2018. Okay, mobile first, desktop second. So when you think website, and you want to build a website, you want to create a website, mobile first, websites desktop second. 68% of search traffic comes from a phone, smartphone, smart device, and so your website needs to match that. Okay. As we talk about website, I'm going to talk about a platform called WordPress. Anybody familiar with WordPress? Right. I am a huge proponent of WordPress. I'm going to give you some Alan Smith philosophy. All right. You can take it like your trash and throw it away if you want to. If you are building a website and you're using a service, Facebook, Wix, Weebly, whatever, it doesn't matter what the service is. Lifeway has a service, I think. If you're Ezekiel, right? If you're building your website on a service, who owns your website? The service.
Yeah.
If they change their terms of use, or if they change their policies, whose effect does that, who gets impacted by that change? You do. If they up their rates, or if they change their... So, I'm of the opinion, this is the Alan Smith talking, I'm no professional here on this, own your content, own your website, own it. So that if somebody's policies or procedures or guidelines change, you're not subject to their whims. Like several years ago, I had conversations with people about websites. I go, we're just going to use Facebook. I mean, it's a website. It works just great. I go, that's going to be great until Facebook starts charging you for every time you post something. That's not going to happen. I go, well, wait and see, because that's what they're doing. And now they're kind of doing that. If you're a business, you lose traffic because unless you boost it, you don't get the engagement. So you own the platform. You don't have to deal with Facebook's policy changes. You own the platform. You don't have to deal with other services changing their things up on you. That's why I like WordPress. WordPress is an open source platform, which means once you download the software, it's yours. You can do whatever you want to with it. You can change it, you can modify it, you can recode it, you can do whatever you want to with it, and it's yours. It's open source, all right? Which means their policies and their guidelines and their terms of service do not affect you. Okay? So the only thing that then affects you is your web host and where you're going to host your website, right? And you've mitigated those terms of use issues, those potential policy issues, and you own content and you own it. Facebook doesn't own it. Instagram doesn't own it. Some other service doesn't own it. You own it. So I'm a huge proponent of open source applications for that purpose. I'm a huge proponent of WordPress for that purpose. Plus, WordPress is very simple to use. And in this next release that they're about to do, I think it's 5.0, they're about to release it to where it's a lot of drag and drop, which makes it even more user-friendly in being able to create content and make things look the way you want to look. So they're updating, modifying, and it's a fantastic community. Okay? So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk through the process. If you're like, we need to do a website and we don't know what to do, we're going to start with finding a host. We're going to install WordPress. We're going to install a theme, and we're going to customize that theme using the simple tools that are built into the software. Okay? So, there are a ton of web hosts available. I'm going to recommend the one that I love. And anytime I build a website, this is who I use. The company is called SiteGround. SiteGround, I actually believe they're located in London or England. Is their like home office? But they are a fantastic web hosting company. Their customer service has been amazing. I've been playing with them for about 3 years now. And about a year and a half ago, I started moving all of my clients and customers and our church website over, and everybody else, like my dad. We move it all. I'm moving everything to SiteGround because I love them. They are, and one of the reasons I love them too is because they are built for WordPress. So they are a low cost. I would say SiteGround is not the cheapest web host you can find. They're not the most expensive web host you can find. They're a good middle of the road low cost, but really, really good host. And they're optimized for WordPress for performance.
What are we looking at price?
Price point, I'll show you. So on their monthly plans, they start at $3.95 a month, and they go up to $11.95 a month. That's the first year. The second year, that's kind of like the welcome rate. Then they go from $9.95 a month to $29.95 a month. I usually do Go Big. There's a couple websites that I deal with that we move them up to the Go Geek, but they're doing e-commerce and they're doing a whole bunch of other stuff. Our church, my church, is on the Go Big, the Grow Big one here. I have another church that's on the Startup. It's on the short with a little one. I mean, so start off on Startup and then move up if you need to move up, right? But I'm a huge fan of WordPress. So to build a website, if you build it using WordPress, if you do it yourself, the cost is hosting, which here's your price on that, and it's the cost of your domain. And the domain should only cost you $10.95 a year. If anybody's charging you more than $10.95 a year for your domain, talk to me afterwards. If you're getting ripped off. You should only pay no more than $10.95 a month for a .com, .net, .org, or
A year or a month?
a year. $10.95 per year to renew that domain. And if they're charging you more than that, you better be getting a lot more than a domain for it, right? And if they are, let me know, and I'll show you how to change it over to a place that will only charge you $10.95 a month. And I don't recommend GoDaddy, but if you do GoDaddy, that's okay. I have other options I would recommend for you. So I always use SiteGround now. I've been using them for the last 2.5 years. I love them. They're fantastic. Their customer service is great. So when you get to a point where you're like, something's not working, what do I do? They are incredibly helpful to be able to help you get stuff resolved on the website component. Okay? So if you have SiteGround, what you do is you log in. You have a login credentials. You hit sign in. And then that's going to bring you to your dashboard. From the dashboard, you go to My Accounts. And you click on the cPanel, which is going to take you, so this is the cPanel. And in cPanel is where you have a lot of installation options, right? So it can be overwhelming, but all you need to know is this one right here that says WordPress. Auto installer, WordPress. So I click WordPress, and now it's going to take me to an installation page for WordPress. I say install, and I just fill out the form and the information below. We're going to start with a HTTP protocol, unless you have a SS certificate, and I'll tell you about that later. This is where we're going to start. You choose your domain. You would set your domain up. If you have already, you purchase your domain, you set up here, so it will show up. And then in the directory, you leave that blank if you want it to be yourchurch.com. If you want it to be in some other, but we leave it blank. So you leave that blank, give it your title, whatever, whatever the title of your church is, and our church website, right? You create a username and password, associate your email address, and then you go down here and hit install. And when you install, the web server will automatically install WordPress for you. Once it's installed, it will give you a URL, and it'll take you to the website. So I went ahead and did that last night so that it would be here. So then this is how you log in. So, so here's the sample website that I created yesterday. This is just installed WordPress. I haven't done anything to it other than I installed WordPress, right? So this is the standard theme that comes with WordPress. It's their 2018 theme, I think. So this is WordPress. So what I want to do is I want to create my own thing. So I'm going to log into WordPress. If I go into the admin panel, and I'm going to put my username and password. Maybe.
Oh, I feel so much better now.
Isn't this nice?
Just type in
LastPass is a
password.
great tool to use. for remembering
Yes.
passwords.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, what did I do here? Alright, so let's do this. We're going to go back here, and we're going to install it under WBA, West Baptist Association.
Mm-hmm.
What's your address number here?
My
Street number.
18 Jefferson Place.
Has to be at least at a 50. Install.
Oh, you made,
Our password's wonderful. So now it's doing an install. A necessary evil. Alright, so now it's installed. Alright, so now I can click on that link. That takes me to the page, to the website. This takes me to my login. And so now this is the dashboard for WordPress. Okay? So I have, in that short amount of time, I've at least created a website in WordPress for my church.
and then change the picture.
Right, we can change all that, I'll show you. And it's mobile responsive, so if I make the screen smaller, it adjusts. That's the one thing. One of the things I love about WordPress is it is a mobile responsive website. So if you were to pull up your phone and go to media317.com/WBA, you would see this website. It'd be live, it's live right now, and you'd see this website, and it would fit your phone. It would scroll. You'd have the proper structure for a mobile device.
All right, say what you just said again.
media317.com/WBA. Okay?
Did you mean Media 317?
Yes, media, and then the number 3, number 1, number 7.com/WBA. So what we want to do is edit this, correct? We don't want to use this. So I'm going to make available to you guys on the page that I put together for you on the media missions page. I have 2 downloads here for you if you'd like to use them. Not only do I use SiteGround for web hosting, I use a service, a company called StudioPress for my theme structures. WordPress design is based off of themes. So you can install lots of themes. There's lots of free ones you can download for free. And then there are premium ones. And the premium ones, in my opinion, are just they're coded better. There's a lot of security components that go into place to make sure that they're done right and well. And I have found one that I really enjoy, I like, I feel comfortable with it, and so I use it. And it's the Genesis framework. And then on top of that, today we're going to use this called Altitude Theme. And I have them here, you can download them, so you can do what I'm doing for you as well. So we're going to go into our dashboard. We're going to go down here to Themes, and we're going to add a new theme. And so on my computer here, I have those things here. I have the Genesis and I have the Altitude. So what we're going to do is we're going to first upload the framework, which is Genesis. I'm just going to drag it to that choose field. Say install. Now what it's going to do is it's going to upload it, and it's going to added it to my WordPress. But I don't want to activate the theme, the framework. I want to activate a new theme. So I'm going to return to the themes pages. And now I'm going to add the Altitude theme. I'm going to drag that to there and hit install. So now that has added, and I'm going to activate that theme. I'm going to go back here, I'm going to refresh, and you'll notice the site will change. So now I've added a completely new theme to the page, to the website. Out of the box, it doesn't look very impressive, but it's got some customization to it that you can do some really nice things with. So as I'm logged in, up at the top here, I have this this thing called Customize. So I'm going to hit Customize. And the Genesis framework and the StudioPress, one of the reasons I like it is they built a ton of features into Customizer. So it's drag and drop, point and click, all from inside of here. So we'll just sort of work our way down the list. So site identity, this is where you would update the site title or the tagline. So if you have a mission, a church mission statement, or a church tagline, you could add that here, right? If you have a site icon, a logo, that you want to show up in the little avatar kind of section on the menu, you could upload that there. You just simply hit select image, and you could drag it from your computer. So I have a group of images that I have. So if I want to take this from today, I just drag it onto that, and now it will load that into my media library, and I have access to that image for the website, right? So you would update site identity. Front page background images. Now, it comes installed with several background images for the home page, but I'm assuming you wouldn't necessarily want to use those for yours. You would use an image that is 1600 by 1050. 1600 pixels wide by 1050 pixels tall. Alright? So you'd click it. I'm going to select the image that I just brought in, hit choose image, and now it has updated the image. So to show you that image in play, we need to add what is called a widget. Now in WordPress, a widget, well, it's like the name implies, it's this little thing that does something, right? And so you have lots of widgets inside of WordPress. Plugins will install widgets, they'll add widgets. So what we're going to do is we're going to the widgets, and on the front page, section 1, we're going to add a widget. And we're going to add a text widget. There's lots of different options here. You can go in each one of them and play with them if you want to. But we're going to add one that's a text widget. And on the text widget, we're going to say, welcome to our church. Notice it's updating live. Carrying out the Great Commission. Right? So I've added the text widget. Put the information there, and I hit publish. And once it's published, that then becomes live immediately on the website. So if I were to go back and visit the website, you'll notice now I have that picture with what I've just updated showing. Does that make sense? Right? So if I go back in my customizer here, I have a front page too. Again, I can add a widget. So on this particular theme, I have a total of 7 little sections on the home page where I can add content. And each section alternates between an image and then a white background and an image and then a white background and an image. So on section 2, let's add another text box. And maybe we just want to say something like student ministries. Alright, so now I've got, this is first section, and I have this section. Right? It can be whatever I want. Let's say I wanted to include a link to our Facebook page. Alright, so I got that there, so I highlight it. So now it's highlighted. And up in the little navigation here, I've got this little thing that looks like a chain link. And it says insert a link. So I click it. Then I'm going to put my Facebook page in there, so it's and hit the apply button. Now I have a link on this page that will connect me to Facebook. So if I publish that, come back over here, I'm going to refresh this page. Now I have a student ministries connecting, and I can check this out on Facebook, and if I click it, it's going to open up Facebook. Oh, I don't typed in the wrong Facebook page, but it opens to Facebook. Is that it? If I want to edit that, I just click it. It brings up the edit. Hit the little pencil. Say edit. change that out, hit apply. I republish it. Now, if I go back, hit refresh, I now have a button here that takes me to my Facebook page. Right? So you can edit the home page very quickly, very simply, by changing out the background images and changing out the text and information that you want on that page. Is it working?
It's online. I got the Palmetto Baptist Church, welcome to our church on my phone.
Yes.
How do I get to the student page?
So refresh it, and then scroll. It says I just published it. So if you scroll up,
Oh, what now? What do I again?
right? Now,
I'm
right now we don't have any menus. We don't have any navigation on the page, right?
Right.
So to create navigation, we go back into our customizer. Right? We're going to go, I hit the wrong button there, sorry. Back into customizer, and now we're going to go to menus. So under menu, we're going to create our first menu, and we're going to just call it primary navigation. You call it whatever you want. All right? And once I've done that, I say next. So there's primary navigation. So now what I want to do is I want to add some pages to that navigation. So I click add items, and it's going to offer me pages. Right now, since it's a brand new website, I don't have any pages created. We're going to create the home button. At least there's a home page link. All right, so if I go back, hit refresh, so we're now going to have, we now have to set where this menu goes on the page, on the website. So menu locations, I have 3 options built into this theme. We're going to put it in the header menu and hit publish. And now I have navigation that shows. So I hit the drop down menu and there's a link back to home.
Can you force the hamburger to be in the upper?
You can. It would, to do that would, in this particular theme, would require a little CSS manipulation.
Okay.
But yes, you can. So let's say if instead of putting it in the header menu, what if we put it before header? So it now goes up there, above the menu, by natively. But you can manipulate the location based off of styling it within CSS.
It's an easy fix.
Huh?
It's an easy fix.
Yeah, it's really simple to do. You just have to know what the styling is. You have this little box here, and you can just add some instructions here, and it'll move it where you want it to move it. So you can, yes. The way the customizer works is it's kind of point and click. I want this to be here. I want this to be here. I want this to be here. Okay. So you would, by filling in all this information, let's say we don't want our colors to be, we don't want our links to be this blue color. We would like it to be maybe a red color. Maybe our church colors or something that's a little bit more red. All right. So now we're going to make that red, and our accent. Let's go with black. Up or down, dogs.
Red and black.
So now my link has changed colors because I've changed the colors here. Right? Does that make sense?
Sure,
Pretty simple.
sure.
So I can change the colors. I can change the header image. So if I have a logo that I like my logo to be here instead of the words Palmetto Baptist Church, I could add the logo. It would have to fit this dimension. It would have to fit 720 by 152, which means it would need to be a horizontal type logo instead of square or stacked. But you would simply add the new logo. You'd upload it from your computer, and then it would replace the words with your logo. Does that make sense? So you can have to change out the header. You can add menus. Show you how to do menus. You can add widgets. Every section on the home page has widget options. And widgets do all kinds of things. You can add text boxes. You can add featured posts. You can add images. You can add links to social media content. You can do all kind of things within widgets that let people connect to different parts of your website or different parts of your online presence. If you want to do your sermons, you can have sermons show up here. If you want to do YouTube videos, you can put YouTube videos on here. All through just using these widgets for the homepage.
Where's your tutor on that?
Pardon?
Tutor, help.
So the little question mark,
Yep.
pop a little question mark to kind of give you some explanation. Everything should have a question mark. So if I go to a widget, say I want to add an audio file, right? So it's going to add audio player. I would link to the MP3 that's on the internet somewhere, and it'll put a player on this page. So if you run into points where you have questions, every time you see a little question mark, you can click it and it gives you some.
When you're
helpful
first
pieces.
starting to build this, I mean,
Yeah.
you've made, I've counted them 367 clicks so far. Where will we find the sequence of these clicks in order to start building from scratch?
So there are, the reason I picked this theme, I'll show you because you'll have access to this piece of information too. Let me pull this up here. So you'll have access to this information. You'll have access to this if you want to use the altitude theme. And it literally is a step-by-step series of instructions on featured widget 1, what to do, featured widget 2, what to do, in order to make it look like the demo. Right? So in order to make it look like this, it will show you how to put this together. Right? On a step-by-step basis.
Okay.
Right? So this lets you, using WordPress and these themes, lets you create a website that you can control, you can manage, you can own without being dependent upon some third-party person updating or managing your website design or your content. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
how many pages does it drill down to?
all right, so let's go into the dashboard. I'll tell you this. So in the dashboard, you have the ability to create as many pages as you want to create.
Okay.
Okay? So let me show you how a page works. So this little icon here is pages. So if I click all pages, it shows that we currently don't have any. But let's say I wanted to create a contact us page, right? So they can get some information for us. We're going to simply say add new, and that's going to bring up my page editor. So I'm going to say in the title here, we're going to say contact us, right? So now inside the block here, this editor, I'm going to put my content. What do I want them to know? You know, we are located at 123 Main Street. In Noonan, Georgia, right? And our phone number. Is 678-555-5555, right? Right, so now I have this, but if I really want to get a little bit more helpful, I can go over here to Google Maps. I go to Google Maps. All right. No, thank you. All right, so this is where we're at, right? Miss Wright Jefferson? Where are we at?
Yeah.
Where are we at?
Yeah,
That little hook shape?
is this us right here?
No, yeah, that's
A little bit to the right.
Oh,
Yep,
Right there. Oh, right there.
that
Okay,
area.
right there. All right,
It's
so,
into that little white street, actually.
all right there.
Right
Yep,
there.
right there.
Okay.
That's-
All right, so I have this spot right marked. So what I want to do is, let's see, there we are, West Baptist Association. So I found our location. I'm going to click the share button, and it's going to give me this embed map feature. All right, all I've done is click some links here, right? So up here is I'm going to copy the information that's hidden here. You can't see it. Copy this information. I'm going to go back to my Contact Us page that we were building, right here. And in the text editor, I'm going to paste that code. All those copied and pasted,
Mhm.
right? And there's Google Maps.
Gotcha.
So now I'm going to hit publish. And now what I've done is I've created a contact us page on our website that includes Google Maps. And I could say, give me directions, and it will ask me where you're located. It'll open up Google Maps, and it will say your current location, how to get, so I've got all that. And all I've done is copied a little bit of code out of Google Maps and pasted it in here. So now I have a Google Maps page that works on mobile, that I can have, people can find me where I'm located. All right, what if I do sermons? What if I want my sermons on here? Well, you could create a page called sermons. Call it sermon archive if you want, right? And if you use YouTube and you post your stuff to YouTube, then you can go to your YouTube page, grab a video, right? Click share, grab that link, right? So that's the link that I want. That's my video. Copy that. Hit the copy button. Go back to my page, Sermon Archives, and all I have to do is paste that in there, and WordPress goes bing. Now I have embedded. It doesn't actually make that noise, by the way, but I've now embedded that video right on that page, and all I have to do is hit publish. And now I have a YouTube video embedded on my page.
They actually have a sermon plugin.
There's several plugins. We'll talk about some plugins here in a sec to show. But you can embed your content from YouTube directly in your page. WordPress will do this for YouTube, Vimeo, OEmbed. It's just Google Maps. I mean, it'll take the code and automatically create the display setting for it.
You mean I could put me on my webpage so that everybody can watch me all the time?
If you wanted to, yeah.
I could do the favorite German story of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be a hit.
Sorry? See how, so you can create pages, and you can add your content directly to the page, and once you've done that, you can add it to the menu. So let's say I want to add these pages to my menu. So I go back to Customize. I go back to Customize, I go back to Menu. Alright, here's my primary menu, and I want to add the Sermon Archive and the Contact Us page to the menu. Hit Publish. And now my menu contains those links already.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
So the reason I love WordPress so much is there's a learning curve. It's not flat. There is a learning curve. But once you get past the learning curve, you can do anything you need to do inside of WordPress with your content for your website. You can create the who you are, the what we're about, the pastors, the staff pages. You get all that wonderful content here very easily, adding it to a page, laying it out, and publishing it without having to have some service or some person that you're paying to manage your content for you. Volunteers can do this very easily, right? And they can keep your content in your website current and up to date, and it's mobile responsive. It is mobile first. It works on mobile devices. Yes, sir.
All right, just for you young people here in this room, is this is this being taped?
We're recording, yes, sir.
Good, because everybody, I want the world to hear this. Okay, I want you young people. Number one, I'm so glad we got young people in the room. Amen. Let's give them a hand. Because guess what? When I'm dead and gone, you got this. Okay. Now, but listen, you guys grew up with this. For us, and the reason why it's important to have him here, and the reason why every pastor in our association was here, is because when websites came out, it scared everybody because you had to write HTML. And nobody knew how to write HTML. Okay? And if you guys had to write HTML, you probably wouldn't be as cute as you are, okay? Now, but the thing she started out writing HTML, okay, now, which means there's some, and he did too, so there's some people that can do the magic, and there's other people who are just look cute like me, okay? Now, so we have come, but what happened was, that scared so many people off from thinking they could do websites. Now, with this, if we had started out with this, if this was already done, this is so easy compared to what it used to be. Okay? So please understand, and I know, y'all have never had it. Just think of now, when you're someday 60 years old, and you're just thinking it, and it goes online, and you're like, what? You know, I mean, and you think, wait a minute, you can't, what, you don't have a brain graft? Well, you fossil, okay? So all I'm saying is just realize how important this is. That's why he's here, and that's why a lot of us are saying, you mean we can enter the cave with the dragon? You know, and so that's why we're scared to death. So thank you, that's all I throw it in there. And this is exciting. I can build my own webpage now.
Yes.
And I don't have to pay anybody.
That's right.
Amen.
One of the other things that I want to point out, so with WordPress you have, they call them post types, to use their language, but basically it's how different ways to display content. There are two basic post types in WordPress that come natively. There are pages, which is a post type, and there are posts, which is a post type. It's important to understand the distinction between the two if you're going to use WordPress. A page is a static piece of content. You put the content on there, and it's standalone, right? I don't need these things grouped together. I don't need it to be updated or refreshed regularly. It's just it's a standalone page. It's the About Me page. It's the Contact Me page. It's our staff page, right? It's just pieces of content that have sort of a standalone component to them. Posts are pieces of content that you want to be able to group, organize, cluster together in some way. Right? Now, as far as seeing them on the website, you don't know the difference between the two. It's all back-end. Right? If I create a page, it just lives as a page and I can't really do anything else with it. If I create it as a post, I can organize and cluster posts together in a variety of ways. Okay? So for example, if you look at the post page looks very similar to the post type looks very similar to the page type, with one distinction. So you have a title area, you have a content area, but on post, you also have a category area. Now categories are important because you can cluster pieces of content together that have the same category. So like for example on our website, my website at church, what we do, I don't use a lot of plugins to do our sermons. We use categories for our sermons. So I have a sermons category, but then I also have a category for each sermon series. So I have a sermon archive. So you can go to the sermon archive and see all of them. But then on this sermon series, I have a category for that sermon series. And
the plugin we have does the same thing. It categorizes them, and you can add tags to them.
So what the plugin does is the plugins creates a new post type that gives you access to different meta boxes. That's kind of what a plugin is going to do, right? But what you can do is right out of the gate, you can organize content together. So say you want to have a church blog, maybe a blog for the pastor. Well, write it as a post and then create the category blog. Now this content will live on the website in lots of different ways, but one of the ways that it will live on the website is under the category blog. All right, so let's say we do our first blog post, right? And we're going to put some copy here that we want to post, whatever it is, right? I'm going to assign it to my blog category, and I'm going to publish it. So I've created a new piece of content. I put it out on the internet, on my website, and it has a title, and it's got a page, and here it is. But now I have this thing called category. So if I were to go to the category blog, now I have under blog all of the pieces of content that were created in that category.
Wow.
Does that make sense? So I can have a sermon series category, and if I added that to my navigation, so now let's go, if I go back to menu, category, customize, I'm going to go to menus, And in my primary navigation, I'm now going to add a category, and I'm going to add the blog category. I want to publish it. Now in my menu, I now have the blog category as part of my menu. And now all of that will show, every time I create a new post that has the category blog, it will show on this page.
Will it automatically kind of paginate itself?
That's right.
after X number
So
of
by
posts?
default, it's defaulted inside the settings to 10 posts per page. And once you hit the 11th, it'll now paginate. So page 1, page 2, page 3, it'll automatically paginate. You also can tell it to, so there's some other control factors you have in the settings to determine how that plays out. But it'll paginate, you can tell it 50 posts, you can set that number to whatever you want, 5, 10, it comes default at 10.
Because especially with mobile, you don't want somebody to have to scroll.
That's right. That's right. You can set this to only populate just the title and a little excerpt, so that it only shows just a little bit, not the whole blog. Or you can tell it to show the whole blog as it scrolls. So there's a lot of setting, and and those things are like just click, 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 clicks. They're not programmatical at all.
My pastor handed me a folder on Dropbox and said, I have all of my these are a bunch of my previous sermon series. I want them, when you get finished with the website, I want them all loaded up on the website. So I found this sermon plugin. It lets me say who the speaker was for the day. It lets me say the service type, so I have them categorized by Sunday sermons or by Wednesday night sermons or by special services. And then I have them where you can actually, the certain plugin actually allows you to filter it by speaker, to filter it by the sermon series, or to filter it by topic and other stuff that you can.
And you can include the video and the audio,
you can put
and
the
all that stuff within that
audio,
plugin.
video. You can have a copy
What
of the
plugin is
sermon.
that called again?
Ooh,
I had it pulled up yesterday.
I think it's called Sermon. I can go into
Is it the pay one or the
No, it's free.
free one?
Sermon Manager. Right, no, down, right there.
Right there?
Up, no, up one.
Oh, right there, yeah. Free plugin.
Free
All right, so
plugin.
here's the other reason why I love WordPress. Inside their plugin repository, I'm going to show you this in just a second, inside the dashboard, there are thousands, that's an understatement, there are thousands of free plugins that do all kinds of functions. Let's say you want to have an event calendar on your website and you use Google Calendar. There's a plugin for that.
Yep. And
And you can link your Google Calendar to it and it'll populate the information on your website. So every time you update your Google Calendar, it'll update your website. You have to do it twice. If you want to do sermon series, there's podcast. If you want to do vodcast, there's all kinds of plugins that let you do all kinds of things. You're going to integrate social media, right? So let me show you a couple that I think are super important just to sort of get out of the gate, all right? So if you were to go down here to, but when you first install it, you're going to have this plugin called Jetpack built in, all right? Jetpack is a plugin that's built into WordPress. It's created by WordPress, maintained by WordPress, that gives you a slew of features that, like if you want to create a form, Jetpack has a form creator. If you want to do a photo gallery, Jetpack has a photo gallery. If you want to connect with social media, it has also, all you do is you just simply set it up by either, if you don't have a WordPress.com account, it'll let you create one when you click this link. I don't have one, give me a free account. But it's going to log me in since I already do. And you connect your website with Jetpack. All right, it's thinking. And once it connects, it gives me access to all of these different features that I can just enable. I want to do that, yes. I want to do that, yes. I want to do that, yes. And once I've enabled them, now they become part of my website, and I can use them. Let's see if this thing works.
So like forms for camp and that kind of stuff.
That's right.
Registration forms, any kind of registration.
That's right. So if you want to create a form that gets some information about somebody going to an event, you can put all the information in there: name, email address, phone number, contact, yes, no questions, all that stuff can go in there in this form generator. If you need to accept PayPal,
Now you're talking.
through there. You can set PayPal up
With Jetpack?
with Jetpack. So there is a lot of features. There we are. Let's see if I remember this one.
We need to change it from cooperative program to Quan. Show me the Quan. I'm just teasing. The Quan
Yeah.
program, that would be cool, wouldn't it? You can tell I've had way too many cookies today.
So what I've done is I have approved this site as part of my Jetpack, and now it's going to access it, authorize it, it's going to take me back. Let me show you some of the features that are part of this plugin. It's a great set of tools. All right. We're going to use the freebie boy. So let's go back. All right, so Jetpack is ready to go. You can activate recommended features, which I recommend you do. So I'm going to activate recommended features, and it has updated all of the features. So now I'm going to go back in here to my page that I did, my contact page. Here's my contact page. And now see I have a contact form option. I didn't have that before. So now I'm going to go right here and I'm going to say let's add a form. And that's a form. Populates. Add name, email address, website message. If I need to edit that, so I don't want all that information, I just click it and I click this little edit button. And now I can change what information I want to be included in that form. So if I'm happy with it, I go back down here and say update form, hit cancel. And then I'm going to update this page. And by updating the page, now not only do I tell them where I'm at, but I also have a form that they can fill in and send that information to. All right. Another feature of Jetpack that is super valuable is that it includes social sharing. Right? So I can connect all of these social networks, I can connect to the website, and I can add buttons to the bottom of each post. So if I want, so I've got these services shared like this, right? It'll show on the bottom of posts or pages, and hit save changes. So if I connect my accounts, then if I go back to the page, to the website, and I go to a page that I have, what is the page I have? Contact. So now I have these social icons. So now all I gotta do is hit that and it'll share it to Twitter. Or hit that, it'll share it to Facebook. Hit that, it'll share it to Google Plus. Right? Or if I like it, I can click like, boom, and it'll share it within WordPress. Right? And I haven't coded anything. All I've done is, yeah, I want that, click yes. I want it to look like that, hit save, and there it is.
Yeah.
All right? So there's a ton of features that are built in to this Jetpack plugin. If you want to do a photo gallery, let's say you do an event and take a lot of pictures, you can load those onto a post and tell it you want to make it as a gallery, and then it'll go full screen. You can scroll through them, and it'll have a nice black background with all your images. It just looks really good. You haven't done anything other than just say, yes, use Jetpack and make me a gallery. Right? I mean, so there's a lot that you can do with it. It's very simple. A couple things that I think are important that you would apply to you regarding church is sermons. And this plugin that she's described, Sermon Manager, is a really good one. There's a couple paid ones that are really good ones as well. Whenever you're going to use a plugin from WordPress, here's one of the negatives of being open source. By being an open source application and an open source environment, anybody can create a plugin and publish it to the repository. Which means, well, just because it's in there doesn't mean it's a great plugin or that it's coded really well or that it's going to work the way you want it to work. So always look at this kind of information.
Make sure it works.
Is it a good plugin? Is it rated for your version of WordPress? Right? Has it been tested? How many people have downloaded this one? 8,000 installs. I never download one that's like got 500 installs. You may be amazing, but I'm not using you,
Yeah.
right? Because I need some trust, because this is open source software, and I could go create a plugin right now and have it on the repository in a matter of hours, and so lots of them are there. Always use some trust indicators. Yeah, we use that one, so I'd recommend it. Or, well, there's got a lot of reviews, and it's got, or these, I know these guys do really good stuff, so I'm sure that, so, or pay for it. If you pay for a premium plugin, you have support built into it, you have customer support, all these kind of things. So, when you look at plugins, if you were to go down here to the plugin repository and say, I'd like to install a plugin, oh, those are installs, right? Go to add new. There are a lot of plugins, and you can do a search for sermon, and it's going to bring up all these plugins that are related to sermons and sermon archives. See this one right here? Sell Church Sermon, 40 active users? No way. I would not install that one.
No ratings. It's
No
been
rating, it's updated,
updated
7,
months.
I'm not interested, thank you. Sound Faith Embed, 50 active users. I appreciate it, but I'm not interested. 9,000 active users. Now that's a little bit more interesting to me. Maybe this one right here, 40. See,
But it's
you
a
have
White Harvest sermon library.
you have to be careful when you're using plugins, and so always sort of research the plugin before you install it. You can always uninstall it and delete it, but just research plugins before you install them to make sure that you're going to get what you want out of it.
Yeah.
Okay? Sermon managers that go in, I can't remember the name of the one I was looking at yesterday. I was wondering that there's several premium versions that do a really good job as well. Yes, sir.
One of the things I'm an old school HTML guy.
Yeah.
And JavaScript.
Yeah.
So, one of the things I had tried doing and never got the page quite right to my liking was making it through the Facebook API where it would search out hashtags. So I would tell my youth group, hey, use hashtag so-and-so. And I created myself just a little page that I could go and quickly see everybody that had used that hashtag.
Yeah.
Is there by any chance a plugin for something like that?
Well, there it is, hashtag it. This will do it. And so this, all right, so back to answer that question. I do that for our mission trips all the time. And as Ricky was talking about earlier, and use your social media networks the right way. We use Instagram for all of our mission trip stuff. If we do a mission trip, everybody that goes, we ask them to use Instagram, and we ask them to use we use a hashtag CBC missions and then the year. So CBC mission 18, CBC mission 17, etc. And on Instagram, you can go in there and create a custom search for that hashtag and create an embed code. And then I can take that embed code and drop it onto a page on my website, and it'll have an Instagram feed of all of those hashtags. You can do the same thing with Twitter, but you can't do that with Facebook, because Facebook, although using hashtags, it's not a hashtag world. But you can do that with Instagram. I'd have to find it, pull it. But you can do that with Instagram, and you can do that with Twitter. You can create a hashtag search. You can specify it. A lot of parameters you can do within Instagram, and then you can embed that onto your website for a hashtag search without having to use a plugin or code something. But because WordPress, for programmer guys, because WordPress is open source, it is based off PHP. So if you know PHP, you know JavaScript, you know HTML or CSS, you literally can make WordPress do whatever you want it to do. It is simply a framework, right? So if you know how to custom build an application using those languages, you can bend WordPress to your will, right? Here's another reason why I love WordPress. And a plugin that I use, and I did this for my dad's church. There's a plugin called AppPresser. APP. There's a plugin called App Presser. App Presser allows you to create a mobile app, a window, an iOS or a Android app that's a native app, and it is completely managed by your WordPress backend. Okay? So one of the problems I've had with, when I first got to Calvary, we were using, was it Spice? Sermon? Was it, what's the app? Church app. What are the guys that do that? The church app, these guys, Subsplash. We were using Subsplash, and it's a fantastic software, but it's like $100-something a month to use it. All right? Now it creates, it's really good. But every time you wanted to update your website and you wanted to update the app, you had to do everything twice. So I'd go update the website, and then I'd have to go into Subsplash, and I'd have to update Subsplash because they have their own content management system. Well, by using App Presser, I update the website, and it updates the app. Okay? If you wanted to see what one of these looks like, our church is built this way. Calvary Baptist Church has a Facebook app, not Facebook, but a church app, and Palmetto Baptist Church has one. Victory, I said Palmetto. Yeah, Victory. Victory Baptist Church or Calvary Baptist Church are two church apps that I built using this method. I use App Presser as the framework, and you publish it through App Presser. They give you code packages that you upload to iOS or upload to Android, and now you have a church app that all the content is managed inside of WordPress. So it kind of opens the door for possibilities that way.
Now, with the App Presser, is that going to take the content from your web page and turn it into a mobile-friendly app, or are you creating original content for the app and then separately creating original content for your church website?
So what the app is doing is it is creating, for lack of better description, because it's not truly a native app because I'm not building it in Swift or Xcode. So it's using the Adobe's, I just lost the name of it, but there's an Adobe platform that takes HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and packages it in Xcode and Android platform, right? So what you're technically, for all intents and purposes, doing is you're technically creating a really high-end looking web browser that is pulling content out of your WordPress site for the app. But you can have content that's just on the app and not on the website. So like, for example, this was a philosophical decision that we made at Calvary. We made this philosophical decision. The website is for people looking for our church. So the information, if you go to our website and look at our church, there is some information about what's happening, but the way the navigation is structured, the content that's primarily living on the website is primarily for people who are looking for a church. Mm-hmm. They're in the Columbus area, they're looking for a church, they land on our page, it's driven for that. If you're a church member or you come to our church, use the app. Because the app is where you're going to find all the stuff, you get all the information about what we're doing on Wednesday night or what we're doing on Sunday or when we're doing this thing, or if you want the latest blog from the app is where we push our church members to, and the website is where we drive non-church people to.
Yeah.
So
right?
app might have prayer requests and PayPal.
That's right. I may have that kind of stuff in the app, a place to put prayer requests or things you need to, would you pray for these people, or here's some information, and I can create categories in my post, and I can say these categories, I want those to show up on the app. Right? And so you can build it that way. But for us, it was a philosophical decision. We wanted to separate the website from being an everything to, if you're not a church member, the website is for you. It's going to tell you all about the things that we do, the programs that we do, how we minister to students and youth and adults, and that's going to give you the picture of who we are. But if you're a member, you're a regular attender, you come regularly, you need the app if you want to really know what's going on. because that's where we push everything to. The sermon notes for the day, like when you get there and you want to follow along with the notes, that's in the app. Our worship guide, we have a digital version of it, that's in the app. But the app is all built, all the content is built in here, inside WordPress. So I'm not having to do it twice. I do it once, and it pushes it to the different places that I wanted it to go based off what we need. Yes, sir.
Your app's a button on your phone.
Yes.
It's not you have to go into Google or Bing or whatever, to search for the website. You don't have to go online.
Right.
I mean, you have to go online, but it's the app, and so that really is a contained audience.
That's right.
Now you really are controlling your social media.
Right. When it comes to the
Because you
app,
can
it
only
is
get
for
it
just
through the
those
app.
people. That's right.
Yeah. Now, anybody can go and download the app.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. And in our church, our announcements, hey, if you want more information, download our app, you get more information there. In our
So do you
worship
have a
guides,
place on
etc.
your app for people to blow up at each other in your church so that it doesn't go out to the whole world?
No, I have not enabled that kind of
I'm just-
functionality.
Blow off steam or vent,
Yeah.
something like that.
That's
What would you
called the
really
board
like to
meeting.
tell
That's
somebody?
right.
The chat rooms.
One of the things that I wanted to ask, our church is mostly older people, but I wanted the app because a lot of them, although they're older, they've gone to these smartphones also. And you'd be surprised how many people don't have any tracks or anything in their pockets and stuff. So we have a tracking built on our app. So somebody, if they're out talking to somebody, they can go to our app and they can do gospel plan.
So we have the Romans Road built
Yeah,
in,
got the Romans Road built.
It's a
built
great
into
idea.
it, so that if you're having a gospel conversation, you can just use the phone to slide through the app.
So, how much does that cost, that presser?
Free.
Free?
Well, again, as with a lot of stuff in WordPress world, there's free and then there's
Better.
right. So the free will get you kind of started, but if you really want to launch the app, there are costs with it. So to actually get the app live, where people can actually download it, that's not free. $100 minimum just to be able to upload the app to Apple, to iTunes. $99 developer license, and then I don't know I can't remember what the app presser's cost is to be
So
able.
you're paying somebody to write the app for you.
But you don't pay it every year. It's just
No, it's just a one-time deal.
That's
All
a
right,
publisher,
back
right?
to PayPal.
Right.
Back to PayPal.
Yes.
Like, you got people wanting to register for an event,
Yes.
whatever it is, a trip,
Yes.
a camp, a concert, and pay online.
Yes.
Go ahead and pay. How do you do that?
So
You want to do it on a website, not on the app.
that's right. So inside of Jetpack, you have where'd it go? Contact forms.
This is where young people can ask for money. Thought I'd get your attention over there. Buy my latest song.
Where'd it go? Well, let's just do it like here. So if I go back into this form, we were here and we did pages, all pages. Contact. All right, so if I want to just simply accept payment, all right, that's all I'm doing. Here's the thing, and it's $20.
Okay?
So I should be able to come in here in this form that I have, right? I'm going to hit edit, and I'm going to go here to add field,
Okay.
and I'm going to say field type, and
You probably on the cheapo one, you gotta go to the more expensive.
you got to pay.
You gotta pay the $5.95 or something a month.
Right. The one that I use for this functionality is a plugin called Gravity Forms.
Okay.
Gravity Forms is the plugin I use. The reason I use Gravity Forms is it lets me do just about anything. I can create a form that lets me do a poll. I can create a form that lets me do a quiz. I can create a poll that lets me to sell a product. I can collect money. I can correct payment. It has a lot of integration into it, so it's got a lot of add-ons that you can add on. I love it. I use it on every website I build. I use Gravity Forms. It lets you do all kinds of interesting things.
Does it cost so much a month?
It does. It has a fee to use it. Let me see. It's usually an annual fee, so that's the license. $59 for the year. and just like everything that's WordPress, the software technically is free because it's open source and it has to be given free. What you're paying for is service and support. So $59 gets you the form per year, and you can do all kind of stuff with it. It lets you do conditional logic, so you can say, if they're 18 years old, then do this. If they're 35 years old, then do this. If they're, it's like if you have some kind of thing that you're registering for children, and the toddlers are this much, and the others are, you can do all kind of stuff like that with it. But it is a paid form.
Yeah, that's only gonna be good if it's ongoing nature.
That's right.
It's like for a business, I mean, where you wanna.
That's right. There are,
You can have a form or something going there on every month, so don't
That's
go
right.
get this if you got a one time event
correct.
a year.
If you're
you
doing
have to pay
something
for
that's
it.
a one-offer, there are other ways to do that you could do through PayPal, which I could show you how to do later. But there are ways to do it having to use a plug-in. You can, or with using a free plug-in.
Yeah, the worst thing you can do is buy something
Yeah,
that you
Square
don't
account or-
need.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, don't buy, I'm the
That's
world's
right.
worst at buying stuff I don't need.
Yeah.
I take it back, my wife's the world's worst at buying stuff.